he's not bad enough to be replaced, but he's not good enough to really shine and carry. And he just has not found a dominant rhythm here in summer.
But yeah, it's obviously very hard to judge because you're only as strong as your team in a sense, whether that's team atmosphere, team play, strategic play. There's so many factors that make it very hard for you to truly judge a player. But obviously we can only go on the things we see. And so far, Soren just hasn't been as dominant as he's been before. But this matchup against Fox could prove to be interesting. Definitely something I'm going to keep my eye on.
Here's, of course, the picks and bans as we've loaded in. The last one slowed down. Draven banned for the 11th time against Copenhagen Wolves. That's in 14 games. Nidalee taken away. Gragas and Rek'Sai still available. Will we see more jungle bans? No, because SK have taken away Azir.
Just want to highlight that I really like this champion music. I'm feeling that hype, you know, last place, 10th place, auto relegation.
That's it. I mean, just to remind everybody, if you place in 10th,
you're out. Back in my day, you could at least play relegations. Not anymore. You're down to challenger, which usually might not even be that bad of a thing for some of these teams. Now, Sivir is open, and the law of Sivir goes as follows. If the champion is open, you pick it. SK Gaming follow that law, and the Copenhagen Wolves will now have to find an answer. Tier 1 AD carries are gone. Corki is left. Freeze is the staple carry of the Wolves, so I actually don't really agree with leaving the strongest AD carry open for the other team because it kind of neutralizes, even if Candy Panda would lose his lane, well, he still has utility, so it doesn't really matter all that much.
Something that we've seen Unicorns of Love do very effectively earlier today. Wolves have locked in Shen and Alistair, so we assume that's going to be top and support. Not going to at least feign the role swap capabilities.
Yeah, the days of Alistair jungler are long gone. You could use that Oracle roam around the map. May Snoopy rest in peace. Figuratively,
all the history
still
stories
alive,
today.
guys. He's still alive. Yeah, SK looking for a jungler right here on Svenskeren. Rek'Sai and Gragas are open, so no real rush to take any of these. Svenskeren has finally embraced the meta game junglers. At the start of the split, he was playing, I believe in the first 6 games, he played like 6 different junglers or something, so Svenskeren, don't do it. There's a reason it's called meta. Oh.
Remember, comfort helps as well. The Nautilus is locked in, and it was run by Freddy in the top lane. It could also be flexed to support.
Yeah.
So there is options here for SK based on what happens next.
Now it is slow, hard engage. That's kind of contradictory, but the Death Charge will follow in very obviously, so it makes it very easy for Alistair to start peeling, very easy for the Shen to start peeling and ulting. So SK will need to make sure that they have enough damage to follow up on that hard engage, but so far, they can build this comp into anything. You know, you can flex the Nautilus, you can pick Sivir into any composition because Sivir, and then Gragas is a solid tier 1 jungler when it comes to engage, disengage, damage. So the Wolves, they don't really know what they're up against so far.
They don't really know what they're locking in yet either. 25 seconds on this next rotation. And for the Wolves, their playstyle has revolved so heavily around this man on your screen, Freeze, getting him ahead. So much so that a couple of weeks ago, they continued to freeze lanes to get Freeze farm.
Yep.
And it backfired when almost no other team is playing that strategy. We need to see if another week of games, another set of matches can help.
Heavy on magic damage right now. They only have one champion that deals 50% of his damage in physical. 2 tanks on the side of SK Gaming already. This could prove very easy itemization on SK side.
Could see Nautilus support and Galio top into AP. We saw it once.
Saw it once, it worked out. However, Alistair is a good counter to that, and Shen just taunt into the taunt.
Morgana's up.
Morgana Galio. I really like that combo, by the way. But that's the difference. That's analysis.
Yes.
Hindsight. Let's stick to this draft right now.
What do we
SK
expect?
Gaming.
Freddy likes his tanks top. He played Nautilus already.
I think we'll see Lulu on SK Gaming side on support because 100% win rate on
Lost yesterday, I'm afraid. 3-1.
Ah, that didn't count. 100% win rate. Up to this weekend, let's face it. You didn't let me finish. 100% win rate up to this weekend.
Sorry.
Trevor. And then obviously you can put the Nautilus in the top lane. He can build very tanky, you know, get that CDR. I get some CDR. You rely on those base stats. This is interesting. Is this the famous... It must be. Irelia mid lane.
We've seen it once before this split and it did not work out.
Or it's no, it's okay. Damn, I just want to see Faker again, but it might just be Irelia top lane, Nautilus support, and Lulu mid lane too. A lot of flexing here for SK Gaming.
Fox has played the Lulu before, but not in summer. What do the Wolves run into? We know Victor's going to go in the mid lane. Is this now going to be a Rek'Sai lock-in for Shook? Lee Sin, something else he's played
It
large
has
amounts?
to be Rex. I don't know why you keep your jungler to last pick. I guess because you just want to secure that Victor, but when the Wolves, take your time. I'm just going to try and puzzle down SK here. You could play Aurelia mid lane, Nautilus top, and then have Lulu to buff up these, you know, engagers in the range. Fede looks to be swapped. They're swapping around. I like it. But they can still swap. Up to 20 seconds in the LCS, you're allowed to swap your champions around. Wolves, they've locked it in. They're going to play pretty standard, but I would almost, like that Aurelia in the middle lane. You know, with On the Hunt, she can dive in really quick. She can get the wild growth on top of that. You can close out the gap on this Victor, and we've seen what Victor can do with sufficient peel. Yes, last game on Fnatic's side, that Janna was just fundamental to keep him alive. But this Victor might just get completely, ganged up upon by SK Gaming. Depth Charge is not blockable unless you have a Banshees, but that will be popped in time. Body Slam Flash can follow up. Candy Panic can stay alive, so Wild Growth can be used defensively.
So, Crepo, you mentioned the Faker. Aurelia mid. It was into a Yasuo last time it was played. A little bit more recently, we've also seen Wicked playing that particular champion, as always. So we've seen Aurelia around. We've not seen it on Fox before. But I like the combination, the run at you with the Gragas, with the Sivir, with the Nautilus. So I quite like the engage.
It's like a Zerg composition
that SK have brought together. But as a team, SK have sometimes been over-eager with pushing forward. We talked about how late-game decision-making can be problematic. Let's see if they've learned their lesson against the Copenhagen Wolves. Hashtag SK win or hashtag CW win. This could determine the team that gets automatically relegated at the end of the split.
Honestly, liking SK's draft a little more. They still have, when you play these melee mid laners and you play this, super tanks, you generally have low amounts of wave clear, but Sivir, Lulu, as a lane in itself has fantastic wave clear. You can put that later in the game. Put them in the mid lane. Switch your Aurelia to the side lane where she ought to be traditionally. You fix those problems right there, and then just keep your eyes on SK's itemization later in the game, because Shen, Vorpal Blade's magic, yeah, Shook has some physical damage, but he's going to be tanky. Then you have Soren, full on magic. Freeze, unless you allow him to auto-attack, he's 60-40 split roughly at the end of the game, like magic to physical.
So we're expecting an Aegis, is what you're saying?
I hope so. At least one.
Find out.
That never gets old, honestly. Let's look at that week 1 matchup. Talked about it earlier. The Wolves, one of the few wins they have this season. They only have 2 wins. They came out okay. We said, Wolves, could it be different this season? No.
Unfortunately not. The Copenhagen Wolves have taken part in every single promotion tournament the LCS has run in Europe. And if they were to place 10th, it would be the first time that they have not featured. SK, on the other hand, have gone from being the winner of the spring split in the regular season.
Yeah, let's not forget.
9th, with 1 player change.
They changed 1 player and they dropped all the way to the bottom of the table. Yeah, couldn't really adapt to that fundamental shift in playstyle. They lost a phenomenal player in Forgiven, but also a very demanding player, and Gambit did what SK couldn't, and was like make Forgiven dance to your tune instead of playing the Forgiven game. That's a different story. Right now we see Gromstar here.
I guess I want to explain on that angle for a second, Crepo. Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
But SK from Spring, the foundation was built off Forgiven. Gambit of Summer, they used their foundation to build Forgiven. As we do see both the Gromps and the Croaks started. Are we going to give another rating?
No, I will skip the rating.
Okay.
People on Twitter are complaining. I have my opinions. I'll hold them to myself. But what we see here is Cass is starting heal. Oh, those minions RNG really hard in CW's favor. But Cass, he started heal because he knows he's fighting against super push. Lulu Q and Candy Panda Boomerang is too big, so Freeze doesn't want to touch these minions at all. He just wants his lane to push. SK is over pushing to an extent because we see the heal on Alistar, so there's no offense to that. Copenhagen Wolves want this lane to push into their tower. That's indicated by the heal early. So this lane will be farmed, but there's fighting in the mid lane.
Fox does have Flash and Ignite versus the Cleanse Flash from Soren, pointing to Blade Surge and that Equilibrium Strike, early trading.
So absolutely nothing will happen in bot lane this game, except perhaps a Pulverize and then knock somebody in the tower. Other than that, SK will be continuously pushing the Wolves in, and we'll have to see if the synergy of lost hitting on her tower has gotten better between Freeze and Kaz, but we can track that without even looking at that lane. So let's keep our eyes on this Irelia matchup.
This is where the excitement happens, because top is farm as well.
Yes. And that opens up Shook for a traditional counter. He spots Svenskeren.
Brainseeker it's a little wide, and Sven's going to be able to smite that Bramble back for some HP. No engage from Shook this time around.
Yeah, and in the Shen Nautilus matchup, if you want to trade with Freddy here, he's always going to use his Riptide with me, which means combined with that W AoE as well, Nautilus is forced to push the waves in. Shen is not going to get shunked down, so he can just CS on the tower. So again, CW pushed in, but will be judged by ability to CS on the tower. The only interesting matchup is this one right here. Irelia into Soren. And this is a matchup that revolves around dashing in constantly. Fox wants to move back, Q onto a low HP minion, and then dash towards Soren. Fuck the Equilibrium Strike.
Soren's a little brave here. 100 HP. Yep.
Lag.
I mean, let's be honest. That was greedy farming. And going to cost Soren his flash. So Fox with an early advantage. Going to deny some experience to Soren. Shook is here to pick it up.
Shook should have been mid to zone for Soren instead of counter jungling. Poor communication on the Wolves' side. And Fox showing that he has the mastery of this matchup. Nailed down to a T. Aggressive dashing is what you want to do. And then you do that a couple of times in case your opponent's not aware of your matchup. Soren's like thinking, okay, 1 dash, 2 dash, okay, dash 3 times. This guy got a lot of dashes. Oh, he resets on the creep. Okay, I got the matchup down. But then once you do that a couple of times, you actually instill fear into your opponent and you can fake it out. And that's when you start playing with this zone control, you know, hiding around, scaring your opponent. Yeah, see, this is what happens. Like, pulverizing away from CS, healing, and free farm. This bottom lane is probably the biggest snooze fest there is. In terms of matchup, it's exciting if you like last hits on their tower, which is an interesting concept as a whole.
It will get exciting to watch once the respective laners hit 6, once they start to look for some movements around the map.
I think once Lenny hits level 6 as well, you will have that ability for you know, Alistar, he's a sustained laner with good disengage, and he has 1 bullet in his gun. That is the pulverized flash, knock somebody back into your tower, and then you can get a gank in from your jungle or a Shen ulti, anything. That's 1 bullet you can use, and you need to make it hit. And that's what was used against the Wolves yesterday, actually, by, I believe it was Unicorns, where the Wolves were the ones pushing all the lanes, but then suddenly they found themselves Q flashed upon. Yeah, Fox, what he's doing right now is interesting too. He's leaving a melee minion on low HP, then he goes to a ranged one, and then he bounces back out, so he's pre-planning his moves. Makes Irelia a very telegraphed lane. Look at the gravity field. It looks like a miss, but this is just saying, okay, if you dash in for that creep, I will deny you 1 CS in return for my W cooldown. So this entire matchup revolves around jumping around.
Wanting to win that trade as well. A lot of global pressure from the Copenhagen Wolves with the Shen, with the Rek'Sai. You're going to keep an eye on that farm lane, as you've mentioned on the bottom. If you catch a glimpse of the tower in a moment or two, you will see just how much HP is missing. Candypan and Rated continue to shred it. Look at this trading aggressively from Fox. I want to go all the way back to something you mentioned earlier, Crepo, about how Shook is trying to do the best he can. Despite the 5 losses with the Copenhagen Wolves since he's come in, his stats are 6, 11, 15 with an 84% kill participation. Yeah,
nothing happens unless it's Shook making it happen for the Wolves, and he actually gets a lot of first bloods as well in these games and just early kills. So, trying to find that opening, and look at Fox here, going all in on Soren. Cleanse!
Already used. Ignite not available for Fox, but lane dominance, despite the aggressive trades, Soren is staying even in CS.
Yeah, but he's yielding the pressure, and that's something you don't really see, you know, on the scoreboard. You see gold, okay, even, 0 kills, 0 towers, but pressure is something this game is about, and SK is pressuring mid, they're pressuring bot. They have the slight pressure advantage on top, and that's the way they used to play. And this used to allow Svenskeren to move into the jungle and counter jungle, and so far we haven't seen it. And I want to see an opening from him. You can't really gank though, so you need to counter gank, and Shook says, okay, I'm not going to get counter ganked anyways, I will just keep farming. So a very mirrored, slow farming pattern from both these junglers here.
And I really want to draw you guys' attention to the player cams. Almost every time Soren is not in lane, he's got a very, very concerned look on his face. Let's see how that plays out. Shook this time round, coming to hold Soren's hand a touch. First back, Candypan has got the BF sword. Freeze yet to recall.
Now what's very important in this matchup is pink wards in your side lane brushes, because then your jungler can tunnel in. If you know he's unspotted, you can use that that matchup into your advantage because Aurelia, as we said before, is very telegraphed. She will jump to creeps, try and jump back, and if you can predict where she goes, you can send in your jungler at the time and try and punish Fox for overreaching. Because he still has his flash up. He's gonna jump over here and get that blue buff.
Flash will be up for Soren in just a couple of seconds. Sven and Fox, if they want to go top, they can.
And combine that play in the mid lane with the potential ulti from Lenny, we might actually see this game slow down a bit. Because now when Fox goes all in, he has to think about Shen too. So we might see a very, very slow early game until we see the inevitable Sivir group or Triforce power spike on Corki. Unless Svenskeren finds an opening. Let's keep our eyes on him right now.
Calling and decision-making will be tested. There is a Stand United available.
Kaz is there.
Will be needed. Shook and Kaz. Kaz with those Moby boots running forward. The connection lands. Svenskeren's in trouble. He's going to flash backwards. Soren comes forward, but the Prey Seeker gets the kill. And the Stand United for the assist.
Good roam by Kaz, because right now Corki's hit level 6, and as we said before, you're playing into a lane that auto pushes you in. That means you can farm under your tower alone. They can't dive you, because you still have that Shen. This opens up Alistar as a roamer. And Pulverize is so good against, you know, Aurelia in the mid lane as well when she jumps in, or if you find a jungler. So fantastic roam by Kaz. Freeze. Alex Freeze out.
In trouble. Glitzel onto Boomerang connects, but Candy narrated back away.
And he still has wave clear. He can still deal with that because Kaz is coming back right now. So ult is expended. When he's back in the top lane, he didn't really miss too much. Shook is here.
2 versus 1. Freddy is going to flash away. Dredge lines to the wall. Knockup doesn't connect because Shook stayed underground. Does follow and red buff ticks, but Freddy, flash and ultimate used.
Good aggressive play by the Wolves, and while SK was using a lot of push, look at that bottom lane tower. It's about 65% right now, even though SK has been pushing it the entire game. So yes, they managed to push Freeze in, but what did he really lose? Even CS, even though his support disappeared for a while, tower's still alive. Soren has stabilized in the mid lane, somewhat. Shook is back.
He's going to find Svenskeren. Jungler and support in the 2v2. Sven is going to try to get away. I think he actually smited that Weaver, or secured it before the engage happens.
That's how you usually translate pressure. You start taking your opponent's buff and then return to yours. You want to just deny them small resources, whether it's a smite on a wolf, whether it's a smite on a wraith, or a raptor as they're called right now. Just get that vision control, inch that forward, and then when the objectives spawn, you are a step ahead. But so far, Wolves, relatively even early game, probably one of the closer early games they've had so far. The only one I can remember where they went this even was against Fnatic, then that all turned around once Huni teleported in.
So, Pink Ward.
Somebody should tell Soren
super effective
that towers already have true sight and that actually nobody on the side of SK Gaming can go invisible.
You know what that does tell you is just the amount of pressure. There's the flash engage from Kaz. He's caught in Rated, and Rated does have wild growth.
He couldn't find the angle. He was trying to get behind the Lulu, but he couldn't find the angle to knock her back, so he knocked her into the wall. A little trigger happy right there. Shook wasn't ready to follow up. But yeah, as you were talking about the pressure, we see Svenskeren lurking around the Wraiths. He's waiting for Fox to come back. Thank you very much, says Soren.
Sven doesn't even care that he gave up first blood on an invade. Similarly, this time round knows that there's
they knew Shook was in the bottom, and that's the deep wards that followed out of the pressure, right? Chain reaction right there, but didn't get the Wraith. Fox is back right now. Dash, dash, E.
Equilibrium strike cleanses you, Svenskeren. It's gonna throw the cask, but flash and cleanse used. And now look at this, SKR grouping up. The hunt is available for Candy Panda. Body slams over the wall. Shook forced a flash as well.
And while that pink ward in the tower may seem a little ridiculous, it could have been used in one of the side lane brushes, which means vision for you, denied vision from them, opening for Shook. You know, it's all these small things that add up. Now, Kaz is trying to zone the bot lane.
Soren again.
He's gone. I'm liking this mid lane Aurelia because it closes the gap very well into the Victor, and Shook is not hovering around mid lane enough. Need more communication. Soren should know that this happens. You must have played this matchup before. You know these champions. You know the mid lane. Mid lane traditionally is a very short lane, which is why all-ins very rarely happen anymore. But because you can close the gap so quickly with double dash from Aurelia, you need your jungle shadowing your lane. Counter gang, because if she extends and queues onto you, she has no more gap closers defensively. Need that jungle, need those pink wards.
So now that Fox has cracked open that middle lane, you can can see he's got a big CS advantage. Candy and Enrated are trying to push the tower down. Summoner heal and Wild Growth use. Candy's bitten off more than he can chew. The Valkyrie got interrupted by the body slam. Stand United coming out from Lenny. Sven and Enrated trying to retreat. There's not a lot of mana for Enrated, but they will be able to get away. Candy, maybe, a little lucky to stay alive.
It looked like Candy Panda got knocked away by the Alistar. I'm just going to rewatch the my screen right here. But he actually flashed, so you didn't really see that too well on your screen, but it wasn't a missed combo by Cass. This was a flash from Candy Panda. He made it out, but that was greedy on that tower. Shouldn't happen. Good flash by Rated.
Tower dive is going to go easily secured. Freddy, however, is teleported in. Depth charge goes out onto Cars. Cars has got Unbreakable Will. Sven, low on mana. We see a root onto Shook. The slow. Towers keep tagging him over and over. Candy Boomerang gets the kill after being forced out of that one.
Slices off a little bit of cheese with the Boomerang blade. Yeah, a bit of a sloppy dive right there. Took too long, but you could just see how long Cass can tank that tower with the Alistar ultimate. He's only a support, and this is why we see that pick, and this is why we like Alistar Corki later at level 6, because you can actually just roam with Alistar and do that on the mid lane, for example. Want to see him return to that roaming position, just let Freeze farm on the bottom. He's hit that Triforce, he can fend for himself right now.
Crepo, all of SK's lanes have been pushing Copenhagen Wolves. They got the top tower, the bottom tower. Been some big items picked up. Danny's got Spirit Visage. Rod now stacking for Freddy. 2 Triforces, one for SK, one for the Wolves. And although this mid turret's not low, it is now being focused.
And I'm checking these 3 towers that are left on SK side. The lowest of that one, all these 3 towers is at 90% HP. That just tells the story of this game right now. Yes, SK, the gold was even. Yes, the game was slow, but eventually this tower damage that you contribute over time, eventually these towers will fall. That swings it 3 towers to 0, reminiscent of SK Gaming in the spring split.
15 minutes gone by with all 3 towers falling in multiple team fights. Now SK are 3,000 gold up. Sven looking to steal this buff away from Shook as he does best. Cast to knock them away. Smite to grab the objective.
Yep, Svenskeren, not only good at League of Legends, ping pong with the Brumbleback. Or pinball rather, not ping pong. Need 2 players for that one.
Come on, Shook was playing.
Svenskeren, yeah, I don't know, he wasn't doing much. No, just like the Wolves aren't really doing much every game. They just sit back and they slowly lose control of the game, and this is how they get behind this 5,000 gold on average at 20 minutes. Right now they're down 3,000 gold. 5 more minutes, SK can extend that lead by 2k. They hit this to average. And they're always on the back foot.
Shook has been caught out. Stand United's been channeled by Lenny, and Freddy's been knocked up. He's got the Wild Growth for support, but here comes Fox. Gonna throw out those transcendent plays. SK, they're deciding to peel away, but Sven didn't quite get the memo. He's looking to set something up, and SK have peeled back to mid.
And split focus as well. Freeze was hitting Fox right there on the Aurelia, and then Freddy survives on 25%, so all the damage went to the tanky Nautilus that was just zoning it up. And here, Fox!
Freeze gets dove! Fox gets the kill.
A sloppy play by the Wolves. They're giving it up left, right, and center. No vision, no foresight, no plan. Just sit back, get denied, get pushed in, lose a tower, lose your map control, lose your cool, honestly. Eventually, it goes on like this, lose the game.
Strong start for SK. Opening 10 minutes was just a farm fest, but once those towers dropped, you can see SK moving between the lanes, middle and bottom. Honestly, they didn't chase the team fight, showing a little bit of restraint despite having the Sivir, despite...
Do you have the rotation to back it up? If you zone out the Wolves and you have the vision control, why chase them if you can just rotate to the mid lane? Force them to rotate alongside and then get caught off in the rotation. That's what they did. They forced Freeze. They said, hey, your team needs you mid, but the shortest path, you know, leads to certain death. A lot of pains here for Copenhagen Wolves. Need more than one dentist appointment to fix this one.
Shook will be trying to fix this. There's no flash for Freddy, but there's no CC to follow it up and no minions for the dive.
I think this play kind of sums up the Wolves right now. Just desperately trying to hold on onto a sinking ship, and there's no pre-plan to it. If you compare it to the way Fnatic plays the game, there's always, you learn what their plan is as they make these moves, and you see the puzzles, or the pieces of the puzzle fall down in unison. But right now for the Wolves, it's just not there.
So Tower didn't get killed, but SK have done a great job And Fox is now pressuring Lenny with not a lot of armor.
Yeah, and Fox is now down in the bottom lane. This is what we talked about earlier. So you put your Sivir in the mid lane, you have that double push, wave clear, split push with Aurelia. You know, she starts as a mid laner, ends as a top laner all the time. How it goes.
Also going quite a damage-oriented build. Triforce into the Cutlass. Not a lot of people that's going to be able to duel. Actually, nobody's going to be able to stand toe-to-toe with Aurelia for a long time.
Yeah, very potent split push if she gets ahead, because she completely controls the pace. And then look at the mid lane, you have the Sivir that can, on the hunt, go left, right, and center. And Candy Panda bringing the utility to his team. And rated yet again on that Lulu. Was 100% up to this week. Was corrected here by Trevor Quickshot himself, that he actually lost it yesterday. So 3-1 right now, I believe. But still, it's one of the comfort picks for SK Gaming.
Again, very smart play for SK. They continue to just chip away at the towers, chip away at the towers. They're getting deeper and deeper vision. And the moment Copenhagen Wolves respond, look, SK are repositioning, and they're most likely going to take this mid turret.
Yeah, this is Season 3 rotations right here. We're looking for an engage from the Wolves because they don't want to let this happen.
That's a flash forward from Casters. Lenny's going to teleport in. Everything's become a mess in the jungle, and Copenhagen Wolves get knocked away by the explosive cast. Lenny forced to flash away defensively, and Fox is going to manage to get one with that Blade Surge. Cast going to use a minion to taxi his way out of the fight. 1 for 0, and SK want the tower.
Even a choke point fight with Alistair and Victor isn't enough to make the Wolves come out on top of this fight. Svenskeren doesn't go down, and SK, they're doing what you can do when you have all 3 lanes pushing, is you migrate to different lanes. You were doing 1-3-1, then you move three pieces of that mid lane to the top lane. It's 4 people there. So bot lane pushes in, then moves to the mid lane, and you're constantly moving your resources around. When the Wolves react and they send their members top lane, then you go back to the mid lane, you cut them off. Eventually they slip up and you catch them. Or they go for what they call these panic engages. Very telegraphed play by the Wolves. They just can't get out of this pincer move.
And for the first Dragon at 20 minutes, as well as that 5,000 gold lead, slightly higher, sticking to the law of averages are the Copenhagen Wolves. This is that panic fight.
Definitely the Wolves. They know they're getting rotated back to the mid lane, and Kaz actually, I don't know, I don't like this ultimate from Shen here on Just Weak Kaz, because Lenny could have actually flanked from the left side. If you look down your screen, he actually started this fight earlier and he was coming on the right side with a flank, so he could have taunted the entire backline of SK Gaming. Instead, he uses his shield on an unbreakable will Alistar. Again, just panic play. He sees the play, pulverizing the taunt, it's all pretty, but you have no damage to back it up. So SK Gaming just getting too tanky with that lead. No Aegis just yet, but they don't even need it. And for the Wolves, what does this mean?
Crepo, what it means is the Wolves will be 2 wins behind SK, but even in head-to-head. So, for the Wolves to even force a tiebreaker,
they need 2 more wins than SK Gaming.
Correct.
That's a very precarious position to be in, because Wolves have not shown any growth. Not in the last few weeks, not with the roster swap. It just isn't coming out.
Fortunately is not, and with all the pressure SK put on the map, they've secured 9 of the red and blue buffs to the 4 of the Wolves. They've also secured themselves a 5th kill as Svenskeren headbutts Sora.
Choo-choo! This is why we don't use boats as transportation anymore, because they're just a little bit too slow, a little bit too not time sensitive enough. And yeah, Svenskeren, honestly, he's been playing some solid pinball this game. Beautiful knock up on the Soren, and then eventually we see why Enreda likes the Lulu so much. Wild growth from Candy Panda when he goes low, and another kill for SK Gaming. Another tower here.
Just very good tower-based play from SK.
Yep.
They're not looking for
Look,
fights.
they can rotate to mid lane right now. They see 3 people in the bot lane. Mid lane is exposed. Fox says, okay, I don't have enough backup to take down this tower, so I will rotate down the top lane. I feel SK could carry over the pressure in the mid lane.
Can Fox get freeze? Blade Surge. He's gonna go in.
What does the Fox say? A lot of damage.
Lenny is gonna miss the taunt. Stun comes up from Fox. Little Lance connects from Enrated.
Fox is in the comfort zone right now. He's adding insult to injury for the Wolves. They're trying to get him.
Shook is now looking for more. Furious Bite will at least hurt Fox a little. The tower stands for a few seconds longer, but Candy gets the inner bottom turret. Towers are just falling like dominoes at the moment. Copenhagen Wolves are spread so thin. They do not have the team members, and they've even got globals but it's just not enough against the unrelenting pressure.
Yeah, the Copenhagen Wolves have 2 wins in the LCS right now, and they only have 2 kills in this game as well. That's all they achieved. 23 minutes. 2 kills, of which in every kill, Shook was involved. Nobody else was really making anything happen. You have a global, you have a teleport. You have the 3rd best AD carry, but you gave up the best one. So you're suffering right now, and there's no way out.
That's a good point. The Ezreal was the last ban from Copenhagen Wolves. Scaling mid laner. Could have slowed down the tempo if SK had prioritized it first pick.
Why ban late game if you start losing in the early game every time? That is a solid point. However, for the Wolves, the problems run deeper than the draft, because it's just fundamentals. And it's rough to find the way out, because when you're playing a team like this, you get set in so many patterns over time that are so hard to break, and it's these little things that just add up over time, and it's nobody with the oversight, nobody with the big picture view, and you really need a player that can in-game take the lead, be that what they call shot caller, decision maker, whatever, that others can rely on. And that's why, you know, as the game goes on, as time progresses over time, shot calling and decision making just becomes more important.
Shook is in trouble and killed. With all of the vision, a massive gold lead, and no Copenhagen Wolves members. Baron has to be the next objective, and it looks to be the case.
This is what situation you end up in. You get pushed into what they call forced errors. There is no good solution to that play. Either you give it the Baron and you lose the game, or you face sick and you die anyways. You have to hope that you just arrive to a sloppy Baron and say, look, oh, it's a 1k HP, let me flash smite and be the hero.
Well, W7D2 gets another stand united. Lenny's teleported into the fight, knocked away. SK do get the Baron. Wild Growth knocks up Carson Lenny. Freeze is trying to spit out as much damage as he can, but it's Fox that gets another. Freeze gets caught and rooted. Double kill for the Fox. And with Baron empowered minions, 30-second death timers, which is the lane that they want to crack open first? It seems to be top, as the minions are closest to that inhibitor turret.
I mean, Copenhagen Wolves are reduced to focusing the tank, and yeah, we see why Nautilus top is one of the staple picks, because he can soak up a whole lot of damage and then get the wild growth, and he still has enough base damage and CC to lock down Freeze in that engage. And there just is no answer right now. Right now, there's no amount of shot calling that can save you. This game is entering the final stages. The only thing left to see is how efficient SK can close, because they've made some blunders, but they have a big, big buffer right now. They have room for mistakes, but they don't want to make any, because they're looking farther than just this 9th place.
This is a good test for SK to practice clean shot calling with the lead.
Yeah.
Yesterday, when they were facing off against Gambit, we highlighted how they've given up some of those advantages, and this smart Baron play is a good way to get that.
Yeah, remember, Shook is already out of the equation. There's no more smite on the side, so I don't even know why the Wolves are here. It's just a Hail Mary play. And then, yeah, look at Freddy. He's soaking up all the damage. Flash, Reg line, gets Freeze. Wild go for the extra slow. A little late. Doesn't really matter at this point. And you say it's a good test. I feel it could be a false sense of security, because SK can do pretty much anything they want right now, and it'll work.
Well, they are going to find themselves a kill onto Cast. Flash away defensively as Lenny will be the next focus. Just trying to buy some time. Taunt, body slam. And that's going to be the kill credit over to Freddy. 1-0-6. Copenhagen Wolves are being picked apart at the seams. SK going to face tank inhibitors.
And if you look at the kill participation across the board for SK Gaming, it is relatively high. But you see, like, Fox, for example, in the mid lane goes in.
Freeze
so much damage.
Out, and he is killed. Shook is the next victim as SK sink their fangs in. The tunnel will allow Shook to at least get away, but Fox 6-0.
If you play against a team that has no member above like 70% kill participation, that usually indicates that you're getting picked apart, not as a group, but just individually. This lane loses one advantage here, jungle gets caught here, top lane maybe kills, solo kills in the mid lane. That indicates that mechanically, just in the early game, you're just getting outplayed already, and then it transcends into the mid game, where people start grouping, and yeah, obviously kill participation rises up as a statistic above 50% very easily. But SK, and we saw it as well, just here and there, they're just outplaying Wolves in these small skirmishes, and then they still have the group potential with Sivir Ultimate.
And of course, you have to factor in that Copenhagen Wolves are struggling when you look at how well SK are playing. But most of the decisions have been solid. The rotations from top to middle lane have been good. SK at 27 minutes already have a Baron, already have an inhibitor secured. So they're not resting on the laurels. They are pressing the advantages and continuing to grow leads, which is not something we've seen out of SK throughout all of the weeks.
Yeah, this is textbook rotations. This is something teams are picking up, say Season 3, start of Season 4, where they just really want to excel and snowball the advantage.
The depth charge alone allows Fox to pick his 7th kill up. Now he's going to take out Freeze before being head-butted away. That's a double kill. Fox is tanking those Nexus lasers, and he's going to heal with the Heat and Style. Guardian Angel was available. Just sweet cast killed by Freddy. SK Gaming want to finish this before 29 minutes. Shook takes a jet ski ride way past SK. Nexus will be dropping, and SK put a 2-game buffer between 10th place and themselves.
And honestly, this is what the SK Gaming organization is looking for. They have, call it a bit of a failed split. They still have chances to make playoffs. Every team in Europe technically did leading up to today. Maybe perhaps not anymore. We'll have to run the stats, but they can still make playoffs. It's unlikely at best, but their goal is just to stay in the LCS. Look at what went wrong this split. Whether it's infrastructure, coaching, gameplay, finding an identity for the team. They just want to hang on. Just want to get as far away from relegation as they can. 7th place is the goal for teams like this that are struggling, because with these fundamental problems, getting to playoffs might just be, an insta loss as well. Obviously, everybody wants to get there, but the main goal is to survive. Survival of the fittest to an extent, and SK were more fit than the Wolves today.
I'm glad you mentioned the playoff options, because with Elements losing earlier today, their record is 5 wins, 9 losses. SK are now 4 wins, 10 losses, 1 game.
But neither teams are in playoffs, though.
True, but they're looking to accelerate. I mean, the next up is 7-7. That is not super unthinkable when some of these teams still have to play HTK, still have to play Fnatic, still have to play Origin. The main thing is the middle of the table to bottom of the table is still very messy in Europe.
Yeah, and this is the point of the season, position I even found myself in more than once, where you start looking back and you're like, damn it, that game, 2 weeks ago, why? Why did we choose this pick? They should have, should have, would have, could have.
Yeah.
We should have won.